Welcome to the Caveman channel. This is Caveman. We're going to do something a little different here. Instead of your typical semi-structured podcast with myself and sometimes my co-host Chris, aka Butters, we're going to do a Saturday night soiree. This will be a new thing. I don't know if it'll be every Saturday, possibly every other. The topic's going to be open forum. I have some emails that were written into me here, as well as a couple direct messages. And I'm looking forward to people just coming up with a topic. Just bring up anything and open forum tonight. Like I said, the emails that I have, I'll cover those. And the few messages that were sent in that I've collected over the past few days to a week. And we'll talk about whatever you throw this way. So let me pull up one of those questions. Well, I wait to see if anybody joins the stream. Where was my email again? All right. Well, I think we have one person watching. I will say that this is recorded on Facebook, as always, so people can comment and watch live. From there, the audio is polished and transferred over to YouTube. And that is where you will view it in its final form. Okay, well, while I wait for anything, if anything, to come in, let's see here. We have one email. All right, this is from Jim. We're just going to use first names. We don't put anybody on blast here. Even when they, if you give express permission and you want your information out there, fine. Otherwise, it's just going to be a first name. But Tom wants to know what personal paranormal experiences I've had. He's heard a few on various episodes of the podcast, but was curious in total. Well, in total, I guess I could say one or two, and I can probably explain those away as well as everything else that I've ever heard, because I am naturally a skeptic, and I like to try to debunk things, and when I can't, then that means there's a possibility. We have one comment before I get into who was I on here, Jim? Yeah. We are on Jim's email. So one of our listeners on Facebook, and so you don't get confused, guys, if you're hearing this on YouTube, it's being recorded on Facebook. One of our listeners, Jen, has wrote in that I'm doing a great job. That's debatable, I guess. Thanks, though, for the vote of confidence. I'm doing something. It's a Saturday night, and I'm sitting in a small home studio and just about talking to myself on the internet. So, I mean, I'm doing something. Could be worse. Could be better. But I'm enjoying it. I've been told that I like to hear myself talk, so I guess that'll scratch this itch. Jim was asking about personal paranormal experiences, and before answering, remember, this is open forum. Saturday night soiree, all right? It's the weekly little paranormal dinner party. You can throw any topic out there. I'll discuss anything. Keep in mind, admittedly, I'm probably an idiot, but I play a genius on the podcast, so it could be interesting. Jim, personal experiences. There was the first podcast, the Caveman Chronicles Paranormal Podcast, which this will be separate from. This is going to be a whole nother creature, the Saturday night soiree. But the experience that was in the first one, not the introduction one. I want to say we listed it as episode 1. It would be UFO, UAP, and unexplained phenomenon, I believe. That's where I've covered one. Well, there two, actually. I mean, one may not be paranormal. Like I said, paranormal is debatable. So just because you can't explain it doesn't mean that it's something that parallels normal, everyday physics or logic, reasoning. With that said, there was my UFO recollection that's in there, as well as a quote-unquote story about what I can describe as a saw blade, and that's also there is another individual on that podcast, a guest. At least his story is on there, and he had seen the same thing, and I didn't come to know this until years later because we grew up in the same neighborhood. Pretty much the majority of people that I know, which are acquaintances, I may have one or two really close friends, and then everybody else is excuse me, an acquaintance. I don't get out much by choice, but I've known all these people from like middle school. I formed those long relationships. So when I heard these stories from them, and we grew up in the same place, which would be the east side of Johnson City in part, and a lot of these tales bleed into the west side of Binghamton. There's a lot of shit that goes on even west of there. You hear stories from people that live in Endicott. Mine was from Johnson City. I was half there and half in my hometown, down in Scranton, Pennsylvania. But not much paranormal from there. A lot of good old boy shit, but that was different. Oh, my screen is glitching here. All right. So that was two of them, the saw blade and the UFO, which is in the UFO UAP Unexplained Phenomenon audio podcast. Other than that, I just put out a podcast on dream interpretation. Now that one, that was interesting in my opinion. It was two personal dreams, one of which was something I don't talk much about, but I put it out there. I mean, it'd really be worth a listen for people, and maybe check it out on YouTube. I'd like to hear others' ideas on some of these things. All right. Well, we don't have anybody other than Jen so far on the feed for the Saturday night soiree. I can dive into. I've got a few more emails here. Let's see. No, we just covered Jim that wanted to know my personal experiences. And Jim, keep in mind that paranormal, like I said, that's a matter of perception. And were they? Yeah, I guess in my opinion, just because they didn't seem normal to me. But I'll leave that up to you if anybody wants to go back and watch those two episodes, the UFO UAP one, and then the most recent, the dream interpretation. That was I divulged a couple of dreams of my own. Something I usually don't discuss one of them, but I see we have another person watching. Tom, hi Tom. This is a little different. It's a Saturday night soiree, open topic. People can talk about whatever the hell they want. I'm just responding to an email from Jim, who was asking about my personal paranormal experiences, because the Caveman Paranormal Podcast is centered around the paranormal. But I wanted to try something different here. Saturday night soiree. And my reoccurring co-host, Chris, a.k.a. Butters, as I said before, he's out tossing chicken wings for drunks right now because, what do you do on Saturday but get drunk? Myself, I'm having a zero sugar. Let me see if I can pop it in there. Boom, zero sugar. Dr. P. I won't put all of it because I don't know what copyright shit there is, nor do I care. There we go. A little swig sound for the feed. And I'm pretty much talking to myself on the internet. I'm reading some emails. I got a couple of messages sent in. I want to recap some stuff. Excuse me. And that I have some people listening as well. And like I said to anyone, now I don't know. Don't take your number on the top of your screen for granted. Like if it says 1 or 2, there may be more. I've had 0 on there before, and I've had 3 or 4 people comment. Hey, there you are, Tom. I'm not sure if you just heard me say hello. If there's that would be quite a long audio lag, or maybe you're just getting to throwing it in there. I'm not sure. But glad to have you here, somebody, for a little bit. I just covered Jim's question via email. Now, before I dive into the next one here, it looks like it's Mark. Let me go to the Facebook feed here. All right, well, Tom, while you're on, you have any topics out there, just throw anything at me, or anybody that's watching for that matter, because on the Saturday night soiree, we cover everything. And, I mean, you don't even have to cover any opinions yourself. You don't have to comment on anything. You can just throw something out there, and I'll give my ill-informed, uneducated opinion, and I'll do it with the utmost confidence. Because, like I said, I may be an idiot, but I play a genius on the internet, so throw it out there. What do we have? Anybody have anything before we go to Mark's email, which I will say is not paranormal. So that's going to be it's going to be something different. We've never covered anything here other than in our first introductory video, which was myself and Butters, and that was originally when we were going to have this entire podcast be sort of an open forum, a free-for-all, cover every topic. But we decided to kind of pigeonhole it a bit so we didn't like ostracize our audience, that this is the theoretical audience that may or may not ever fucking come and listen to anything. But if they do, they will because they know what it is they're coming to hear. Like, if we're doing something paranormal and they're interested in the paranormal, and the next week they come on and we're talking about different pizzas, all right, we have something here. So let's put Mark's email on the back burner, and we are going to go to... Now, Tom said haunted houses. Also paranormal. Now, I guess that's a topic. No question to it, but... Oh, I lost my email. There it is. Let's see. What do I think about haunted houses? Okay, now, it's going to sound crazy being a paranormal podcast. Not this. This is different, but typically it's the paranormal podcast. I'm not so much a believer. My co-host is more so of the believer. I'm like 99% skeptical, which is good. You want that in everything. You know, with any experiment, you have to have trials, and if you don't weed out everything, you can't say that it's something. Like, it's not going to be paranormal, like, oh, our EMF detectors are going crazy. Well, you know, who knows? Maybe there's electrical interference everywhere in that place. Maybe it's wired like shit. I'm just saying that some things can be explained, and you want to try to explain, and then you want to link the possible cause to whatever result you're getting, like, you know, that's why. And you see where I'm going with that. It's not to say that I don't believe in anything. I think it's possible, but I just like to weed out the what ifs before I, you know, when I see a speck of dust on a camera, my first thought isn't, oh my god, it's a demon. You know, that's just where I would go with it. All right, let's go back to the Facebook feed here. Tom said haunted houses. Said his dad wasn't a believer, but he became one. Well, that happens to some people. Some people have the aha moment. I guess I've had the quote-unquote aha moment a couple times, but I explained away the aha with my usual rationale and scientific shit. I don't even know if something appeared right in front of me, if I'd believe it. I'd find some way to blame it on connections to hallucinations and medications and environmental, and I'm just that kind of guy. So, but I think it's great that some people do have their moment, and as long as they believe it, you know, they're living their truth. Is it true? Well, yeah, maybe. Now, I've said this in the last podcast, but let me just put it out there again. I think anything's possible, because you have to look at that. I mean, we know what reality consists of because we've lived and documented it for thousands and thousands and thousands of years. And that's going to be debatable too, depending on who you talk to. But anything is possible because it's just as likely that there was once nothing. I mean, absolute nothing, because what else would it be? If it wasn't nothing, then something always was. That right there is mind-blowing. But if there was nothing and then something happened, well, what caused that? If there was nothing, that's mind-blowing. And we were going to get into the whole topic on another podcast about, there were so many theories. There was one where on the other end of a black hole, if you were to pass through, would be a white hole, the opposite matter, white matter, light matter, whatever it would be, opposed to dark matter. And what is happening now as far as a timeline happened in reverse on the other end. It just rematerializes. That's not me making up crazy shit. This was theoretical physicist that was on some program or podcast that I watched. And I'm sure they can explain it a little more scientific than I am. But that's the gist of it. That's the layman terms. That's what somebody such as myself took away from the podcast or the program. I don't even remember what it was I saw it on. Now, before I dive into Mark, like I said, not sure who else is watching. We covered that haunted houses was compliments of Tom, and his dad was once a non-believer, but I guess had his moment. So, real quick, let me throw out Mark's topic here, or question, or comment, or whatever he has. All right. And like I said, I'm just using first names. So that way, I'm not going to give you this guy's email address, social security number, and bank account. I'm joking. I don't have that shit either. Not that I even want it. Not all my jokes are funny. I read them myself. Sorry. Mark wants to know about future co-hosts. Is it just the one guy, or do you have? Okay. Typically, it's just my reoccurring, I guess, would be my co-host Chris, aka Butters. I see what you're asking, Mark. I would have other co-hosts on, people to come onto the show and record audio, which I'm going to say again because I keep saying it. The audio is recorded on Facebook. That's just allowing for conversation, comments, and so on. And then I polish it up a little bit and send it over to YouTube and do everything they require before uploading it to the actual channel. The main program on the channel is the Caveman Chronicles Paranormal Podcast. This is going to be Saturday Night Soiree. It's just an open forum. Going to jump on maybe twice a month and just go, you can go ham with it. But I don't know how that's going to work. We'll see if, excuse me, if things pick up. I've only got a couple of emails and then a couple of messages sent to me, but others may write in as well, so there may be more. And Mark, to answer your question, yes, I would love to have other hosts, but, and this came to me as a surprise, I guess. My co-host wasn't surprised. Nobody else seems to be surprised, but I'm surprised that most people are fearful to talk publicly. And this is the bottom of the barrel publicly. If you think anybody's really listening to me, probably not, but maybe. And if they're going to listen to me ramble and stumble around and probably make an ass of myself, anybody else doesn't have to worry about anything. You just get on here and we're having a conversation. Maybe, I don't know, maybe it doesn't come natural for some people. Humility doesn't bother me. I can laugh at myself. I can publicly speak. I didn't mind doing debate in college, even though politics has come to nauseate me. That's one topic I'm not going to really throw on here, even if somebody brings it in. I don't want to talk about that. What the hell is there to talk about? We've all seen a circus before. But, yes, Mark, to answer your question, other hosts, if anybody ever really wants to. As it sits right now, I actually have one lined up, coming up here maybe a week. There's going to be a podcast, one of the Caveman Chronicle Paranormal Podcast put out, and there is a paranormal investigator coming on as of now. Now that gentleman's been doing it for about, I don't know, I think he said 17 years or something to that effect. Now what does that mean, paranormal investigator? I guess I can make up my own topic here. Now I love watching these things sometimes, unless they're so over the top. Like if you watch those guys like Zach Baggy or whatever his goofy guy is, he's this stud that dresses like a dork and he goes into haunted houses, and then people believe, they eat this shit up. Just the theatrics blow my mind. These burly Abercrombie and Fitch looking dudes just screaming that something touched them. There's nothing on the camera. Like, it's like, you know what, dude, stop freaking out. Like, I don't know about you when you go into abandoned buildings. Like, you don't know what's in there, but I bring certain supplies with me. I may edit that first word out. I don't know if I can say that on Facebook. Shit. Okay, well, oopsie daisy. I'm glad I can edit the audio. But, yeah, like, the theatrics, I think, in the whole quote-unquote ghost hunting, however it came to get that term, it blows my mind. Hunting? What are you hunting? But that, and it always consists of proof in the form of these crappy digital recorders that just pick up nothing but mechanical noise from the device itself. And then kind of like the pareidolia effect, where you see things and generate shapes. Like, I can look at the clouds and tell you I think I see a dinosaur. You know what I mean? If you're looking at the reflection in your window long enough, you'll find a demon if you want to. Just like if you're listening to that tape, you're going to hear it whisper Satan or whatever you think it's going to hear. There's been so many controlled experiments by so many independent And I know I can't cite them, but I'll spend as long as it takes pulling them up and doing so if you want. Okay, let me just get to the worst of it all with investigating. I don't know exactly what this stupid thing is called. I think its street name is like a spirit box or something. It's essentially a radio that somebody has put the scan button on crack. So it just scans channels at a ridiculous rate, and every once in a while it'll stop. And we're talking fractions of a second, so it might pull one word out of whatever it's picking up. It stops at that brief fraction of a second or second, and it'd be a fraction of a second. And then, boom, right back, speeds through the channels, and it's pulling out certain words. Now, sometimes it doesn't make any sense, and they can't seem to tie it to whatever it is they're investigating. But sometimes it does. It'll be like, oh, Sarah. And they're like, oh, my God, the ghost name is Sarah. Like, no, it's just a fucking radio station, my guy, and they happen to say the word Sarah. And the next word's going to fit, too. Like, I don't think that's how you figure out that something is haunted. I think if something is haunted, you're gonna come to know without all these little gimmicky shits that people show up with. They're light up little cat balls they set everywhere that are set off by the slightest of vibration. People walking on the floor. Like, where I live, if a truck went by out on the road, it'd probably shake, then the little ball would light up. I'm not buying that shit. The one where they're like, hey, come on over, ghost, and touch the antenna. Like, you telling me they can do that? They can touch, and all this time, there's, nobody's had a physical interaction that was significant. I want to see some real ghost hunting if it was out there, but I'm going to leave that at that. I think that went off on a tangent, and I don't even know where it started. I had covered Mark's question, and something in there must have triggered me. So I'm going to load up the 2 messages that I have sent to me, because we have covered Jim and Mark, who were the gentlemen that wrote the emails. Emails, there's something. Now that I'm getting ancient myself, I tend to use email far more often than I ever would have in the past. Now, I'm more of a call you up and like, let's just talk or meet face to face and deal with shit and get it done kind of guy. But if you're dealing with a company or, your average person, it's going to be a fucking drawn out process. So there's sometimes an email, if it's not urgent, shoot an email. You read it when you read it, and I'll get back to you when I do. Okay, I got my messages here. Who do we want to take first here? Okay, let me write this down so I can remember where I'm at. Julie wrote in a message. Okay, well, not... Yeah, maybe I'll put these in the comments below too, but funny one here. Likes the subject matter, but finds us to be a little annoying, and the audio is a bit choppy. Well, Julia, you're not wrong. I'll give props to Julia on that one. The audio is choppy. I have tried recording directly with the phone. Normally I use what I'm using now, which is, I would say it's a relatively expensive. It's a gaming headset, the big microphones with the mouthpiece speaker that I paid like $125 for. So is that cheap? I don't know. I have no idea. I saw them and I ordered them. I've tried using a little clip mic, which was significantly less, but the thing's great because I can set up my phone and then record audio from my person as I'm, off in front doing whatever, which is going to come up in future YouTube endeavors. I got a summer channel that I'm going to be doing with my son that we're going to be doing magnet fishing. That's going to be pretty cool. That's some fun stuff. You never know what you might find. But yeah, she finds us annoying. Okay, I can see, now there was no reasoning, but the audio being a bit choppy at times. Yes, which if this one doesn't come out well with the way I have it set up using this headset, I'm probably going to invest in a different mic that's recommended by a channel that I listen to that has crystal clear audio, and that YouTuber says, hey, that's the fucking mic that you need. Maybe I'll splurge and get it. I don't know if it's worth it, but I'm sure it's a lot easier to listen to a podcast if it's not painful to listen to physically, and it's loud enough to hear. The audio levels I have up all the way on my end, but I found that when I go through the uploading process and clean the audio, which is a feature within the YouTube Studio app that it cuts back on the volume to compensate for scrubbing out the background noise. So I don't know. And it's kind of hard to not have any background noise. I don't have a soundproof room, you know, or a separate place. I do this in a little home office, which, okay, little side story. It's funny to me, but nobody else gives a shit. And I don't give a shit. So the little office, it's a desk with my computer that's hooked to, I'll put a picture link up, to like a, I don't know, 45-inch TV that's tethered as a second monitor to the computer. You can do same screen, dual screen. Little thing of pens and some decorative shit, and my Steamtown Scranton there, railroad cup holder. That's the greatest. And this little office is in the corner of my bedroom. So it's funny, when I'm going to do a video in like the morning and I'm not legitimately working, if you want to call the other stuff that I do work, I don't physically do anything hard, but I work. You know, I make money, unfortunately. I have to. But I'll get up out of bed and be like, I'm going to the office, and just fucking roll my fat self over to the table right next to it. And that gives me a good chuckle. It doesn't take much at my age to be funny. See, we got Hendrix watching, or listening, or it's listening. There really isn't much to watch. I'm just reading the screen. Doing an audio recording for what's called the Saturday Night Soiree. People can just write whatever the hell they want in, and I'll talk about it. They can comment on it too if they want, or just shoot something out there, and I'll be my usual oblivious, ignorant self and try to come off as sounding confident about it. We've covered emails. Well, that's fucking weird. My curtains were moving. Anyway, emails from Jim and Mark, and I was responding to a message from Julia, who thinks that we're annoying, and she likes the subject matter, but we're annoying and the audio is a bit shitty. I talked about how I'm working on the audio. That's going to get better. I'm not sure how much fucking money I have to throw at it to make it better, but I'm probably going to have to, I guess, unless I find out some secrets here. As far as us being annoying, there's no fixing that. Like, I don't know if you're talking about me or my co-host Chris, a.k.a. Butters, or both of us in tandem. I assume we're both annoying. I mean, we annoy the shit out of each other. He even may be listening. If he is, he can't talk right now. He's, like I said, he's saucing wings for alcoholics currently. He does that on Saturday nights as a side job. I think he likes to punish himself. You know, I'm not sure if I can say this either, but I apologize for the breaks in audio, but I'm taking a pull from my vape. I'm not promoting that, and I'm not giving any product names, so don't pull down my audio, Facebook. Thanks, Zuck. Piece of shit. Anyways, Julia, thanks for writing in. Yeah, we're not going to work on the annoying thing, so sorry. Don't know what to tell you there. That won't change. The audio will get better. And the subject matter, as long as you're listening to the Caveman Chronicles Paranormal Podcast, that's going to stay the same. If you're listening to the separate file that I'm putting together now for what's called the Saturday Night Soiree, if you don't know what that word means, Julia, just go to wiki.com, give it a lookie. It's not annoying over there. It's very factual. It's written clear, concise. You'll love it. On to the next one. Thanks, Julia. What do we got here? Let me pull up my next message. Hold on. Got to get my messenger back up here. Okay. All right. Julia checked it off. We have Steve. Only using the first name. Steve, don't worry. We're not going to give your last name. Oh, okay. Well, shit, Steve. That hurts, man. That's right in the feels with that one. I mean, I don't know why you feel so strongly. I'm going to put that out there. I can say this, I think. It says, you guys are, and this isn't written as such, but this is what it means. You guys are pieces of sheet. Okay? Yeah. Damn, Steve. I wish you would have, maybe pointed as to why. But I love that. Any comment is a good comment. Chris, yeah. My co-host Butters, piece of shit, through and through. He would say the exact same thing about me. And I know it. I mean, I've known the guy for 35 years. We're pieces of shit. So I don't really know what else to respond to that comment, Steve. Thanks. I hope you keep listening. I don't know what you drew that from, but I love the trolls. It's sometimes better than legitimate comments. And that's not to take away from anything that, the other people have written in here, except for Julia. She was walking the line. Sorry, Julia, if you're listening. Jim and Mark, yeah. Thanks, guys. Now, I don't have anything else in my feed for anybody listening. I've covered 2 emails, 2 messages, which came in through Facebook. That's what this is recorded on, as I've said, prior to going over to YouTube. I'm sorry, it's dry in here. My throat's a little... I sound like I'm going through puberty and getting laryngitis simultaneously. That's great. That's great for podcasting. I'm sure that will annoy Julia and just cement Steve's deep-rooted hatred for us. Keep hating, guys. Love you. As far... God, we've covered a lot. As far as the podcast itself, I guess I could touch back on what I had just said in the dream interpretation podcast that was just put up moments ago onto YouTube, which goes back to Julia's point, actually. The audio on that was kind of fucking atrocious, but I did the best I could, and I put it back. I put it up because it's what I had. I used my little clip-on mic for that, and I didn't test it prior to. I should have. I just ran with it because that's what I do. And it didn't come out as well. Now, I will say that maybe it's not entirely the mic. I did have some background noise. I had a floor fan running, like a box fan, because other than when I'm doing this, I have a fan on 364 or 5, whatever, days a year. It never shuts off. I have to have the constant breeze and the noise. I need the noise. If it's dead quiet, I can't think. And dead quiet to me maybe isn't dead quiet to everybody. I have this low, high-pitched, low-volume ringing in my ears that I've had my entire life, and it doesn't bother me. It's normal to me, probably because I've always had it, but if it was ever to stop, I think I would lose my mind. I don't know what absolute silence sounds like, and I really don't want to at this point. That would, that's the kind of thing that would break a person if you've never heard it, but... Anyways, I digress. Like I said, the audio on that was shit, and I went back to using. Now, if anybody's even listening, I don't know who's on it. It never shows me on my end. Why it does this with the video feeds, I don't know. But how is the audio that is being used now? This is back to the headset that I've used for prior podcast, for the paranormal podcast. And a lot of this might just be me. I mean, sometimes maybe I'm shooting too much bass into the microphone. Maybe it's too close to my mouth. Maybe I don't know, spitting on it. I'm probably nasally. I don't give a shit. I'm working with what I got. And that's what I'm saying. Other people shouldn't be afraid to get on and say, like, I see people are afraid to even write, let alone get on and talk. And that goes back to, whose question was it? Mark's, I believe, about having a co-host at some point, other than Chris, who doesn't give a shit. He's like me, a couple of guys, just 40-something-year-old white trash with new shoes, man. It doesn't matter. Get up and say whatever the fuck I want, anywhere. Who cares? If you look stupid at this age, you don't need to impress anybody when you're old. It's great. Off-topic rant, which I keep doing, but it's a soiree, so who gives a shit, right? I don't give a shit. Let's get back to audio. Yes, new mic. We've already covered on that. Gonna try to do this every other week or something. I want to do the soiree. Maybe we'll just throw it in randomly, and maybe get Butters in here when he can, because I wanted to do more open topic things on top of just the paranormal, which you can search either one. They're in folders on YouTube. It's all gonna be organized, so people don't have to subscribe to one. Like, you don't have to like the paranormal, and you're somebody that's crazy enough to actually like listening to me or us, depending on the podcast. And you come on to hear something paranormal, and then you got a couple of guys talking about, I don't know, chicken wings or video games or whatever the hell we end up talking about. Because then it's gonna scare you off. Like, oh, this shit ain't about the paranormal anymore. Well, yeah, you're just in the wrong folder. So, hold on, we're gonna have a little sound break. This is me taking a drink of Dr. Pepper, 0 sugar, strawberries and cream. Fucking delicious. What do they call that? ATSM or something like that? Those sickos that like to listen to people chew their food or something. Oh, God, I know there's videos on it. I've seen it. And I can't think of what it's called. I mean, I'm not going to lie. Some of it might be appealing in the right situation. Speaking of strawberries and shit, I'm not going down that road. I'm not doing that. I'm not going to go there. But, you know what? Since this is the soiree, I'm going to look this up. ATSM. Let's see if I actually get it right. That might not be it at all. It could be something entirely different. Let's do it. No, that's not the web search I'm looking for. God, guys, I can't even search the web correctly. Wow. All right, bear with me. ATSM. I'm using Yahoo search too because I'm, a fucking dinosaur. So we're not even rolling with Google over here. ATSM. Standards request, quota, multi-use. Nope, that's not it. I guess, does anybody know that's watching? Is there anybody on? What is that? What are those videos called? Where people want to listen to people chew their food or drink. I got a kick out of that because I was just shouting out Dr. Pepper, strawberries and cream, if anybody's ever had it. No, not sponsored by it. But, of course not. Nobody would assume that anyways. Alright, you know what? I'll just do a search here. No, everybody rest your fingers. Don't be afraid. I got this. I got this shit. Alright, videos of... I'm typing with one hand because my computer's off to the left. And I'm going to knock everything over if I type with both hands. So, no, I'm not a knuckle dragger. I know how to type on a keyboard. I can only reach it with the one right now. That's why. Not that if you can, it's a big thing. Who gives a shit? Do you work in a call center? Probably not. So, don't feel bad. Videos of people chewing. Called. There, that's the keywords that it needs. Let's see what it says. Let's see if Yahoo is up on its lingo. ASMR. Okay. So yeah, I guess nobody else knew that either. It's not ATSM. I'm probably thinking of some industry standard in manufacturing, which I did for years. I don't know why that keeps popping in my head, ATSM, but it's ASMR. If anybody wants to look up a series of videos, it's just, I don't know, disturbing, or they might do something for you. If they do, don't share it. It's, you do you, boo-boo. Do you. I don't need to know about it. I'm not shaming it either. I'm just saying. So that's ASMR. We both learned something here. Weird shit, I guess. But that's what you just got when I was drinking the Dr. Pepper. Man, I don't have any more messages, guys. I've ranted on about the show, which we're trying to work on, which is separate than what we're doing here. This is just open forum, but I guess nobody's got anything they want to talk about or hear about other than politics. Don't send that shit this way. Nobody wants to hear that. Like I said, we've all been to the circus. I'm going to try to get another podcast in tomorrow for the Caveman Paranormal Podcast. Sorry, guys. I've been at this for a while here. Caveman Chronicles Paranormal Podcast. I mean, say that 5 times fast. I'm going to try to get one in here tomorrow, and that will be with Chris, with Butters, my co-host. Don't have a topic on this. If you're just listening to this video on YouTube and it says tomorrow, it doesn't mean tomorrow because this was recorded a while ago, which you probably already know. I'm assuming if you're listening to this, you're just smarter than me by default anyways. I'm just a guy that talks into the fucking void. I'm shouting into the darkness right now, How's that for paranormal? I'm just in a dimly lit room talking to 3 fucking screens in front of me. It's kind of sad. But I'll be on tomorrow with Butters, and so following this here, if you see this, jump over to the paranormal folder, the Caveman Chronicles Paranormal Podcast, and there'll be another video after it, just as there was one that went up before it. Listeners that were in here, I know Jen popped in. Thanks for the vote of confidence, Jen, that we're doing great. Tom threw a little something in there about haunted houses, which millions of people believe, so, don't take the opinions of one asshole on the internet, aka me. I'm not the know-all, end-all of anything. I'm just, just me. I want to thank Hendrix popped in, another listener, and the people that wrote in. I don't have the page. I don't care. Mike and Jim, I think it was. Thanks for just the questions, guys. Julia, thanks for the honesty, the annoying thing. I can't hold that against you. We are annoying. And then our last guy, what was that, Steve? Yeah, Steve, man, you can go stub your little toe on your nightstand, bro. That's harsh. You just came too hard with that shit, You came too hard out the gate. Thanks for writing, but, statement redacted. I'm going to use that all the time. It's my favorite thing. Since the government now, it's the thing that's in. Instead of saying what I really want to say, I'll just say statement redacted. And then you already know what I would say to you, Steve. You can feel it, and you're going to respond even though I didn't really say it, But you know what it is. And there you have it. Statement redacted, Steve. But I hope we keep being pieces of shit in your eyes. I don't know why. I don't care. I mean, you can keep it to yourself. That's great. Anybody. I mean, before something else hits me or I cut this thing off, I mean, I could run with it. I could keep going with this shit, but I just need someone to type something. You know, you got a topic. You got something on the top of your head. You're confused about why they put wax on fruit and vegetables. You know, I got you. You want to know about what old people like me do on cloudy days? Well, we yell at the fucking clouds. I could talk about that. I could get into all the paranormal shit that we've covered in 4 or 5 episodes so far. You could throw me some feedback on, like, how does this sound? Does this mic sound like shit on your end? Is it just my speakers that it's coming out of? You know, is it genuinely shit through and through, start to finish? Because I'm going to put some more money down if I need to. And if I don't need to, I don't want to. That was a vape pull right there. ASMR. I think that falls under the category, which I want everyone to go look up. It'll make your night great. I'm not doing it. I know what it is. All right, well, Saturday night soiree, new category topic. It might change. It might just be something soiree. I don't know. If you're listening to this on Facebook, that's what I'm calling it right now. What it's going to say on YouTube, I don't fucking know. No, I don't know. But we'll know once I post it, if I post it, which I probably will. And then I'm going to try to have this open forum more often. It was nice that 2 people wrote in as far as emails and then, excuse me, a couple messages. And there's a couple comments. So it gave me something to respond to. And I would have kept going, but I think that's all we have. Butters and I look forward to putting out another one. I know something we were going to touch on, and this is one that I'm probably going to laugh more about, and it might piss off the paranormal community. To a lot of them, every dust ball's a demon. But, like I said, maybe I'm wrong. I want people to argue their point with me. I mean, fuck me. You shouldn't care about my opinion. Who the hell am I? But we're going to do something on Bigfoot in an upcoming episode. Now, I'm not going to get into too much here because I don't want to take away from the other podcast coming up for it on the paranormal portion of the channel. But I don't know if I'd grab his picture if I seen him running about. I don't know if I would. Maybe Bigfoot's not a bad guy. Everybody's saying that he's snatching everybody up and he's eating the kids in the woods, and maybe not. For all we know, he could be a vegetarian. But that's the upcoming one is Bigfoot. Now everybody has since left. It's 7:30. It's probably bedtime for some of our Facebook listeners. The other ones are probably getting drunk shortly. I'll go into that, guys. And like I said, I'm shouting into the void, but it's going to be on YouTube, and you're going to hear it. And it's currently recording on a Saturday night at 7:30. So what do people do at 7:30 on Saturday? Well, if they're old like me, they might do something like this. If not, they're probably getting drunk or something. But not me. I don't drink. I've been there. And I haven't for some time. Anyways, myself, Bigfoot, who would have been a great co-host, but he's not here. We just brought you up. Stay strong, Bigfoot. We'll be back tomorrow with Butters. We're gonna throw some shit out there. We're gonna talk about Bigfoot. We're gonna have a whole bunch of topics, and none of which anybody's gonna say anything to. I understand that, and this is one thing. Let me do one thing in closing. At first, I really thought, this just talking, just putting your opinion out there, talking on the internet, talking publicly, quote unquote. Essentially, that's what we're doing. Like, anybody can fucking do that. It's nothing. Like, yeah, there's a technical end to this. You have to overlay audio with, in my case, it's just a static image, but you have to create that image for every episode. And then you overlay sound effects and fading and volume levels for everything. And then you have to type up tags, descriptions, put it into the right folder. It's a little bit of a pain in the ass. It's time consuming. It does take more time on the back end sometimes than it does just sitting here, as I say, shouting into the void. But it does give me a newfound respect for people that actually put together like these semi-blockbuster videos for YouTube, or the people doing, shout out to the people doing like the independent films, or the indie films, if you will, the short films that are just fucking phenomenal. Oh, there's some background noise. Sorry about that, guys. Sounds like a fucking Kenworth or something. I don't know. But they, see, I'm like a squirrel, which is ironically Butter's other nickname. A newfound respect for those that make these short films and videos, and to go through and actually film everything and then put in the time editing, which is meticulous shit in some cases, and then to get that all together and overlay every layer of sound and visual that you have to put in there, and to blend that all together and come out with the final product, and then do everything you have to do on the back end to satisfy whatever platform it's going on or wherever you're publishing it. Big prop for those guys. Big props. That's not something, I don't know, that I could dive into right now. But maybe, if you've listened this far, I will say that coming up this spring, I may be a part of something, but we'll see. That's a whole nother topic. I'm going to wrap it up. Because it's just me. If you listen to this on YouTube, just know that I stuck it out, y'all. It's just me. Just me and the screens. I'm looking out the window right now, out into the trees. I'm hoping Bigfoot's out there listening to this. Shout out to Bigfoot. I'm gonna put you on the program tomorrow, my guy. Me and Butters. Everybody else, thanks for listening. If you didn't listen, statement redacted. You see what I did there? Fuck you. All right, I'm out. Cheerio.